Hi. Hi. Yeah? No. On? Good morning. Good morning. It's 9:30 and we are starting today's event, a little conference, discussion platform about arts, health and creative entrepreneurship. We have 2 our experts online, Julia and Julia and Carolina. Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, I was afraid that you won't make it because I know that one of you is in Nepal and other in UK, right? So yeah, thank you for joining us. So good morning once again. So welcome to Awake. Arts, Wellbeing as a Creative Business and Future Livelihood project final event. The project is co-funded, generously co-funded by the European Union. And today we will explore how arts and well-being come together not only for the creative expression, but as well as a meaningful livelihood for the future. My name is Dace, and I am head of the Northern Dimension Partnership on Culture Secretariat, NDPC in short. So we are the lead partner of the project, and therefore I will be guiding you today through the program. Shortly about NDPC, we are international public organization. Our partners are 10 countries around the Baltic Sea and Nordics. Finland is one of them, and we are dealing mainly with cultural creative industries, issues in a cross-sectoral cooperation more in particular, and therefore this arts and health topic that is very at the top of our agenda. So, I think we should have a look quickly in today's agenda. Just briefly guiding you through. You have as well the printouts where you can see more detailed program. So we start with the morning sessions, then having a little break, coffee break, and then in the afternoon after the lunch, and for the lunch at 12:30, we will gather all outside at the entrance of the building, and we all go together to have a lunch. And lunch is offered by the project and this event organizer, so you are welcome to join. And then after the lunch, we come straight back to Lapinlahden and having 2 sessions of parallel workshops. If you haven't signed up for the workshops, then I invite you kindly to do it. So you can do it as well during the coffee break and so, but yeah. And this QR code that you can scan, this is like the QR code where you can find lots of information, practical information, and as well the link to join our Telegram channel if you have like any practical questions to ask. This is the practicalities. Yes. By the way, we have as well today our online participants. I warmly welcome them as well. Happy that you managed to get to our event. And for your questions and how you could interact with us, please write them in a chat. And I kindly ask our colleague Bernardo, if you could take up questions from the chat and bring it to the room. Thank you, Bernardo. Okay, before I step aside and give the floor to Ville, just a quick note. We have today a special bonus for this conference. Artist Mark Stahle will be creating live drawings during the sessions, and you will have opportunity to take one with you, but this will be just after the workshops in the afternoon. So maybe it can motivate you to stay as well for the afternoon session. So thank you. Giving the floor to our host, CEO of the Lapinlahdenlahde, Ville Pellinen. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and so lovely to see all of you here live in Lapinlahti and then also online over our stream. So Ville Pellinen is my name, and I'm the CEO of Lapinlahdenlahde Ltd, and we are the operator of these beautiful Lapinlahti premises. I would love to give you a thorough 2-hour presentation of Lapinlahti's magnificent mental health history, but we don't unfortunately have time for that. So just to give you the basics, this is the oldest psychiatric hospital in Finland, one of the oldest in Europe, opened 1841, operated as a hospital for over 160 years. And now for the past 10 years, this has been turned into a lively community center, space for mental well-being, arts, culture, science, societal entrepreneurship. So very much something that we will also discuss today in this Awake conference. So cultural well-being, people joining together for the betterment of mental well-being. Few words about the future as well. This is a space owned by the city of Helsinki and has been under quite even dynamic and tense debates for the past years on what will happen to these kind of spaces and premises in the future. Our hope is that after big renovations that Lapinlahti buildings will go through starting next year or 2027. After that, hopefully this will be recognized as the mental health house of whole Finland and also something to be benchmarked all over Europe. So that's kind of our vision, and that's also somewhat our promise. So if you come here, let's say in 5 to 10 years time, hopefully this has been turned even into something much, much greater. But yeah, happy to have you here today. Before we continue with the program, a few practicalities. Toilet signs you probably saw on the corridors, but feel free to visit the toilets anytime you like. I go through again the important advice from Dace that when we have lunch, don't disappear, don't go your own ways, but let's gather up because we need to move to a different place. And as I said, that this is a lively center for mental well-being, arts, culture, and societal entrepreneurship. It means that we have here almost 300 tenants. We have also other events going on. We have people visiting the cafes and restaurants. So just be mindful also that there are plenty of different people here. But so feel yourself as in home, but also take other people into account, and we will have a lovely and wonderful day. But yeah, without further ado, once again, warm welcome from Lapinlahdenlahde side to this Awake final conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Ville. Now I invite Maija Lumepuro, a representative of the steering committee of the Northern Dimension Partnership on Culture Secretariat. So please, Maija, the floor is yours. Maybe a few welcoming words.
Thank you very much, Dace. My name is Maija Lumepuro. I work as the Senior Ministerial Advisor at the Ministry of Education and Culture. And I am also a member of the steering committee of the Northern Dimension Partnership of Culture. This has been really interesting journey. Partnership has already been in action for 10 years, and we have had many interesting and very different projects, and also cross-sectoral projects just like this one. I also wanted to say that I'm very happy that we gathered today, especially here in Lapinlahdenlahde, because this place is really very important for many residents in Helsinki, also Finland, and I hope for many visitors who are coming to Finland. So this is a place for art, culture, lectures, concerts, festivals, and also you can find here some silent places where you can be alone or you can come with your friends and just have some rest. So this is perfect place also for this seminar. I wanted to share with you just 2 examples which are cross-sectoral between culture and well-being, and they are my very recent experiences. First of them is called Kaikukortti, which is cultural passport for people with quite tight economical situation, and they can get free tickets to cultural events. And we had in September 10 years anniversary of Kaikukortti, and it showed the whole process of 10 years, which started from the ministerial working group suggestion, then it followed by very strong political commitment, and after that NGOs, municipalities all around the Finland, arts and cultural institutions together established this model of this Kaikukortti card. And now it is in action, and it was on this anniversary event, it was very important and touching to see how this kind of work, cross-sectoral work, can really make difference in people's life. And that is very important for starting from children, adults, grandparents who can go with their children to these events. And that was like 10-year process, very diverse, very connecting all different kind of actors and practitioners. Then another example is very different and also very recent. It is from Oulu, northern Ostrobothnia. Oulu, so-called future hospital. They have very big renovation and building process, and they have integrated arts and culture from the very, very beginning of this process. They have professional curatorial group, and they have been thinking about culture and well-being from the very beginning. And you can really see it in the working process, on walls, on ceilings of the hospital, and also in the how they meet people, patients, visitors, children, and professionals who are working at the hospital. So this kind of work is really meaningful, and when you start it from the very beginning, it can be very successful, I am sure. So, but I'm really inspired and honored to be here and to listen to your keynotes here in the morning session. Thank you.
Thank you, Maija. Great. So, but now I think we are set and we can continue with the short introduction into what has been happened during these 2 years when we were been implementing Awake project. So how this idea was born. So we heard a lot of speaking about questioning how to engage with health sector. That's artists are wondering, the ones who want to work in these realms of arts and health. Or how to access the network, how to understand that the things that I'm professionally doing are going the right directions, or how to sustain my income with the practice. And then we realized that the answer to this question could be a project that suggests that entrepreneurship and business models need to be explored as one possible source of livelihood for arts and culture professionals working in the arts and well-being sector. And this idea and the project activities were being implemented together with partners. We had a partnership of 4 equal partners and 6 associated partners. So it's Pôle Culture Santé from Bordeaux, Nouvelle-Aquitaine. Our partners are here. Clara and Team France. Then Lapinlahden as our Finnish partner that you heard already welcoming words, and Cluj Cultural Center from Romania, who is here represented today by Claudia. And here are a few numbers. What is this project? How big was it? And what is its impact and scale? So 6 countries within European collaboration, 24 months duration of the project, and 249,000 euros total investment. And I need to tell you a bit more about the objectives of the project, that you would understand this context that we are working with. So we first thought, okay, we need to build the skills and capacity of the arts and culture professionals, the ones who want to work in arts and well-being sector and do some business. Then we thought that this entrepreneurial skills of the artists and creatives, this is something that could be a possibility for to ensure their income. And we need to raise this awareness about this possibility because it's not always obvious. Then we wanted as well to enable transnational peer learning, knowledge exchange and networking, and raise the awareness about this entry and access to the arts and culture professionals to work in this arts and this health and well-being sectors. And how we achieved it. Here I have like a very short introduction into our activities. So first we had a roundtable discussion. We wanted to explore the practical experience of artists, and we wanted as well to map what are these needs that are there within the sector, and how we could somehow respond to this demand. And as a first response was the casebook. The Annabelle Turkis, one of the authors of the casebook, will come shortly to join us online and tell more about what is there. But you get already the little leaflets at the registration desk that you can scan and get a digital version of the casebook. And there are 5 entrepreneurial initiatives led by professional artists, and each of these initiatives is supporting different vulnerable groups, including infants, older adults, and so this casebook tells you more how these ventures were developed, how they evolved, and what is their impact. Another activity was masterclasses. Masterclasses about fundraising, about impact assessment, intellectual property, that is as well an important topic, sustainability, and collaboration. And we had 4 online masterclasses and 1 on-site here in Lapinlahden. Another activity is our cross-sectoral hackathon on culture and well-being. This was 3 days online event, very dynamic, 50 participants, various background, and this was like truly great possibility for them to develop the business idea, like to focus during these 3 days only on this idea and to work in a mixed groups guided by mentors. Then we had as well prototyping workshops and ideation workshops who helped them to understand if it's the right thing that they want to do. And we have today online Julia and Carolina, who is joining us to tell a bit more about their hackathon experience, because the idea that they developed during the hackathon, they are still keeping up developing it and seeing a huge potential there, and that's we are happy about. So please, ladies, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to try to share my slides here, just be patient while these load. And let me give you the full version. This might take just a second. While we're waiting for the slides to come up, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Julia Puebla-Fortier. I'm based in the UK, and I'm a public health researcher with a focus on, just want to make sure, can you see the slides? Let me just try again. Okay, I'm a public health researcher, and my particular focus is on health and well-being, and particular the experiences of artists who work in a healthcare environment supporting people with illness and different social conditions. Carolina?
Yes, thank you, Julia. Good morning, everyone. My name is Karolina Anna Buszko, and I am creative arts therapist, mental health and psychosocial support expert, trainer, and consultant for various NGOs on topics related to mental health and well-being. I'm usually based in Nepal, and it's a great pleasure to be here today with you and presenting together with Julia for you.
So let us start out by just telling you what an amazing experience participating in the hackathon was. It was so well organized, both the process and the resources we were offered. It was a great opportunity to meet so many people from across the EU, and we had a chance to talk. And Carolina and I met and came together to combine our ideas and played with them and did some more research. We got really excellent mentorship from different people through the project who helped us review different business models and come up with some technology tools that we could use. And then finally, we presented our proposal, and amazingly, we were winners of the hackathon contest.
Yes, and to add to that, it was a great adventure as well. It was fast, it was fun, and it had a practical solution that we will present to you today. Yes, so starting right away. Well, culture and well-being, right? It is an exciting field that is growing in Europe, and it's gaining more and more recognition across the countries. It has the great potential to support individuals and also different vulnerable groups using different artistic modalities across cultures and also in different challenging settings.
So the research that I did in the UK with artists showed that artists participate in providing creative activities to people in a variety of settings across a variety of different conditions, including end of life, homelessness, working with migrants, people with disabilities. And so you can see that these are things that are very, very challenging, both for the participant, but also can be for the artist as well. And so the challenge that we identified is that artists who work with vulnerable people often experience work-related stress, secondary trauma, and burnout. And consequentially, they often do not receive any training to prepare them for these experiences, and may often not receive any psychosocial support to help them manage while they're doing the work. We also found from both of our own experience that healthcare professionals are often also at the same kind of risk.
Right. So because working in professional relationships also creates interpersonal relationships with the different vulnerable groups, it's very important to recognize own limitations and to be prepared for different kind of situations. Here we have a quotation that we want to share with you, one of the personal stories. It is from Marina, who is one of the creative facilitators and works with populations that are affected by migration. And this is her worry. What if they all get, the participants, emotional and I lose control of the group? I am so scared. So this statement is actually very, very common. And the questions that emerge among the facilitators is, how do I ensure the safe space where I work, the safety for the participants, and also the safety for me as a facilitator.
So, some of the additional research that was done in the UK last year showed that artists who work in a creative health setting want support for the work that they do. They would like to see that in the workplace. They'd like to have some therapy and counseling or clinical supervision, but also 50% of them said that they would like to have training for well-being to support them in doing this work.
Right. So, reflecting on the challenge and connecting all the information, we came up with the solution, which would be providing a creative well-being skills support program, which would be a collaborative peer support. It would offer bi-monthly sessions online with facilitators who has the skills and knowledge in psychosocial support. And they would provide experiential creative sessions with practical skills presentation and discussions, and also facilitate peer sharing among the participants to exchange on the challenges and to discuss together how to tackle those in a successful manner.
Dear lady, sorry, 1 minute left.
Okay.
So thank you. Here you can see some of the discussion topics that we reflected on, and they come from understanding the emotions, understanding and safety, and setting practical protective boundaries for the facilitators and for the group, and also practicing self-care practices.
So we'll skip over the course platform that we developed and move to some of the benefits from the participants.
Right. So there are many benefits, and it's a lot about using creative self-care strategies, understanding and handling stress better, and receiving psychosocial guidance through the process of working with the groups.
So the next steps for this project is that we hope to continue developing collaborations with EU partners in order to implement this in the EU. That means that we'll be refining our business plan and looking for development funding so that we can launch a pilot program with a small group of artists to test our idea and then see if we can expand it to more artists across the EU. So we hope that you'll be able to join us on this journey. Thank you so much for the time that we have to present this, and also for the honor of the Hackathon Prize. You can learn more by following this URL, and please don't hesitate to contact us if you'd like to speak more or join us on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you a lot. So wishing you all the success for your continuation, and fingers crossed that you really manage to arrive at the right direction that you are planning to. So I invite, meanwhile, already Annabelle on the Zoom. You can test already your connection here. Yes. So I will then just briefly finish the introduction into the project by some feedback from the participants of the hackathon event, of our master classes. So here you see that everyone could find something useful for them, a good start for their future careers, and really encouragement not to leave the practices that they've been onto. Just need to mention that all the sources that we are speaking about today, the casebook, the policy briefs, the recordings of the master classes, they are available on ndpculture.org webpage. If you scan the QR code, you arrive at the right entry where the project's been presented. So, Annabelle, you are there already, and you are ready to kick off and tell us a bit more about the casebook. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. That's a good morning to everyone in Helsinki and online. I'm Annabelle Turkis, co-author of the Awake casebook, currently dialing in from Barcelona. And I'm very honored to present the casebook today. first, I'd like to really warmly thank first the artist who accepted to let us deep dive into their entrepreneurial ventures, the consortium partners, of course, and my co-writer Ariane Vitou, who wasn't able to be with us today. So let me prepare my presentation, share the screen. Just a second. Now you should be seeing my screen properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So as Datsy mentioned, the casebook dives into the entrepreneurial journey of 5 artists. Now, before we dive into our key learnings, I would just like to briefly present our criteria for our exploration and assessment criteria for featuring these 5. So first and foremost, what were we looking at? We had quite precise criteria in terms of types of business models and levels of maturity of an entrepreneurial venture. We were looking explicitly at hybrid business models, meaning entrepreneurial projects which are not solely dependent on grants or not meant to be solely dependent on grants, but with a clear revenue generating logic in order to ensure or put the foundations to ensure long-term livelihood. Second main criteria, the level of maturity, whereas here we were looking both at mature and more emerging entrepreneurial projects, but the emerging ones needed to, we wanted to emerging ones to be, to have a kind of proof of concept to ensure potential future viability. Next to that, we were looking at, of course, professionals with high quality artistic work, and which are directly engaging with beneficiaries in different health, well-being, and social contexts. We were looking at the largest possible variety of disciplines. So you will see examples from theater, dance, music, photography, multidisciplinary, social design with an artistic approach. And we were also trying to showcase the largest possible variety of disciplines. The cases you will see were found in France, Finland, Sweden, and actually we had 2 from the Netherlands because there was kind of overrepresentation of more like, let's say, mature entrepreneurial ventures, artist-led entrepreneurial ventures in societal contexts in the Netherlands. Our aim then was to show a largest possible variety of health and well-being contexts. So you will see in terms of context nurseries, residential care homes, psychiatric units within hospital, as well as social education sectors. And doing so, the idea was to show a large variety of beneficiaries, individuals with vulnerabilities that these types of projects can engage with. So from infants to older adults, let's say. So now the selected cases are Collectif Tutti from France, Dance Up Recept from Netherlands, Social Gym Project by Sjaak Langenberg and Rosé de Beer, Deviska Production. Sorry, I wanted to mention the country's Deviska Production from Sweden, and Empowering Photography from Finland. Now let's briefly look at the key aspects, at the key things you will learn about in the casebook. What will you find out? You will find out in terms of project genesis, how an initial artistic practice can evolve into an entrepreneurial idea and project. In terms of project setup, how did the artist proceed really to start their entrepreneurial journey, with what type of partners, in what kind of ecosystem, what was their prototyping journey like? in terms of project development, what were the key levers that really contributed, that were crucial for the development of their entrepreneurial projects? What challenges did they face and how were they overcome so far? And then in terms of perspectives, what foundations did they put in order to enable long-term sustainability in terms of longevity, in order to enable long-term livelihood? So in the casebook, you will find interview-led analysis of each artist, of each entrepreneurial project, and as well as simplified versions of business strategies and business models. So now let's briefly look at this, starting to dive into each case now. Let's start with the more emerging entrepreneurial journeys and then progressively move to the more mature ones. So here we have Collectif Tutti from France. It's an organization whose aim is through dance and music to create engaging projects for everyone, from older adults to infants, and among their activities, and many of the activities are more classical performing arts activities, even if they are in non-traditional settings. But among their activities, they have been developing the project we were specifically looking at, which is the Tutti box. And the aim of the Tutti box, really a box, is to enhance the artistic awakening and well-being of infants through the active collaboration of the adults around them. And it has been founded by Julie Lederach and Sylvain Meret. So now I'm going to quickly show you the simplified figure here, which is more a launch strategy than a business model as such, as we were in a quite emerging phase. So you see on the top the Tutti box in terms of as a whole package, which combines artistic workshops for artistic initiation of infants and caregiver training. And then just below you have the different, let's say, ingredients of the Tutti box package, which can be offered as standalone, let's say, products or activities, but also all together, right? So you have a performance combining dance and music for infants and the adults around them. You have a book, a manual, which describes how to work with the infants in the Tutti box method. And on the right-hand side, the trainings for professionals from the performing arts sector and for professionals from the from nurseries. So as we were really in the launch phase, as we spoke to them, I cannot really talk about success factors, but about ingredients for potential success, let's say. And I would here like to highlight the strong partnership with the nursery Apimi. It's called Apimi. It's located in Bordeaux. And Apimi was really the key partner for the artists for prototyping the Tutti box as a whole and several ingredients of it, and also the key partner for the current and future commercialization of the trainings for professionals. Now let's move at the next project, which is also a more emerging entrepreneurial project, Deviska production by Emma Lundenmark. So this is an organization based in Sweden whose aim is to develop creative, expressive skills for people mentoring from mental health issues through an innovative practice of theater. It has been founded by Emma Lundenmark. And so here, this figure represents really an initial phase of the project setup and the financial support it received and its evolution. This is when we spoke with the artist almost 1 year ago. Main initial offers so far, you can see here on the left-hand side, are the anti-stigma theater workshops in psychiatric units. But on the right-hand side, you can see the upcoming offer the artist was working on, which are also trainings for professionals in the art, in the method she has been developing. And here, as we were really in this initial phase, also what I would like to mention are the ingredients for potential success, which do not appear here. It's the realization of a scientific report to evaluate the project's impact. That should really help with credibility and dissemination and potentially open doors to partnerships. And also the realization of a guide, a manual about the method, which should also be key to disseminating the method and open opportunity. And if I may, I would really like to wish good luck to these two emerging entrepreneurial ventures. Now we are moving on to much more mature entrepreneurial ventures. Let's start with Empowering Photography. It's an organization based in Finland whose aim is to transform the way we view ourselves and others through an empowering practice of photography. And it has been founded by Minna Savolainen. And as the artist will be talking about her project later on this morning, I will really be quick here. So here, this simplified figure shows the core offer, its partners and client typology, but also how the entrepreneurial journey evolved over time. And what I would just like to mention here is the core offer you have in the center of the figure. So the artist has been structuring her empowering photography method in two core offers, basically, in the shape of two education programs. But I'm not going to go deeper in this for now. What I would just like to mention here is, in terms of key success factors, our take on key success factors, were beyond the, of course, high quality of her approach at the intersection of arts and well-being, and beside the fact that the artist was really able to combine two professional perspectives and worlds. In terms of key success factors, we saw the strong adaptability of her method across different sectors, such as education and healthcare. Also, the strong relationships to universities and collaboration with research departments from the start, and the networks she has been building among professionals, researchers, etc. These were, in our eyes, key for her success and longevity. Let's move to another, among the more mature entrepreneurial ventures, Dance Up Recept, meaning Dance on Prescription, which is an organization based in the Netherlands whose aim is, through dance classes, to improve the quality of life of people with long-term illnesses, such as Parkinson's, among others. It has been founded by dancer Marleen Zijnstra, who is also the founder of the dance company, the Leefmeesters, the Life Masters. Here, let's briefly look at the figure in the middle. Let's look at the core offer. Here also the circles in the middle. Dance classes for individuals with long-term illnesses. And these generate revenue through ticket sales. Also, dance classes have been tailored and packaged and sold as services to corporate clients, such as residential care homes. Other offer you see on the right-hand side. Also here we find the trainings. Trainings in the Dance Up Recept method for professionals, dancers, and when we were talking to the artist, she was currently developing a specific training for physiotherapists. And also then on the more left-hand side, you see peer-to-peer conferences and performances in a more traditional setting, which also might generate ticket sales. Here, our take on the key success factors was, besides also, of course, the quality of the approach at the intersection of arts and well-being, a core offer dance classes, which has been tailored to the needs and contexts of a diversified client structures, individuals and corporates. Also a diversified support structure, local and regional authority, alongside the health insurance, which covers part of the cost of the dance lessons of the patients. And here what I would like to mention is what was key in our eyes is the partnership with the Dutch health insurance company has been built thanks to another partner, which doesn't appear here, but who was a key support for the artists from the start, which is the Rehabilitation Center Rehabilitatie in Friesland, which really enabled the artist to prototype her concept and to prove then the scientific benefits of her approach. And this enabled her to convince the health insurance. Yes?
Sorry, voice from the room. 2 more minutes, max.
All right, okay, should be
It's
fine.
a bonus already.
All right, okay, thank you. And then maybe a last key success factor here is really the virtuous circle that she has been building between the conferences and the artistic programming, which raise awareness about dance and prescription, advocate for it, and also help promoting the offer dance classes. Now, the last mature model we selected is the Social Gym, an organization in the Netherlands whose aim is to encourage physical activity and intergenerational connections of older adults living in residential care through an artistic approach of social design. It has been founded by Sjaak Langenberg and Rose de Beer. And now, briefly, this is a much more complex figure, which has been designed by the artists themselves. What I would like to mention this here is the core offer. Core offer consists in boot camps, where you see it better here, actually, where athletes and older adults living in residential care exercise together. And here, key success factors are the creative approach to intergenerational dialogue through sports, a strong hybrid model combining revenue streams from private and public sector, and also the strong replicability and scalability of the project as it already exists in various countries and the Netherlands, and discussions were already on the way when we were speaking with Norwegian partners to implement it there. And yes, to briefly conclude what I would like to say in terms of core offer, what we observed is really then starting from an initial artistic practice that then evolves into a prototype that gets tested with beneficiaries, and then in collaboration with strong partners from the health and well-being ecosystem. This has been being developed into training programs for professionals across arts and well-being and health sector. And this offer trainings is something that we have observed throughout our exploration and seems key to a sustainable approach of creative societal entrepreneurship led by artists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for this thorough insight.
You're welcome.
Fortunately, we are very strict here in Finland with the timing, and we don't have any more time for the questions. But if you have any question that you want to ask in particular to Annabelle, you can write her a message, right? An email. So, and if, yeah, then keep in touch. And then there are 2 books that are circulating around that you can just consult and appreciate what has been done. Thank you, ladies. So, yeah, we are back to the on-site session. Bye-bye. So, and now it's time to invite our next keynote. That is titled Resourcing Arts and Health, Funding and Cooperation for Wellbeing Initiatives. And I'm honored to invite 2 our distinguished experts from Arts Promotion Center Finland, or Taike, Katri Leppisaari, Special Advisor at the Arts Promotion Center Finland, specializing in cultural well-being, inclusion and cross-sectoral cooperation, and Katti Nuora, Special Advisor on the Creative Economy at the same institution, focusing on funding, entrepreneurship, and ecosystem cooperation across the creative industries. Welcome, ladies. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here today. And thank you for the previous speeches. They have been really inspiring, as is Lapinlahti as well. I was a bit excited about this speech when I came here this morning, but then I stumbled to Jennifer Ramirez's work, My Heart Does Not Judge, in the corridor. And it was this heart that you could hug. So that was like cultural well-being in action there. So thank you for that. So great venue for this event today. So my name is Katri Leppisaari, and here is my colleague Kati Nuora. Kati will talk about her work a bit later. And we are both special advisors, and we work for Arts Promotion Center Finland. And our presentation will look at this subject today from the viewpoint of governance and cross-sectoral administrative cooperation. So, first of all, okay, there's something missing there now. Yeah, but yeah, I think there are like fonts are different or something. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, so a few words about Arts Promotion Center Finland. We are an expert service agency for promoting arts under the Ministry of Education and Culture. And we are promoting the arts both on national and international level. And we are also promoting aspects of culture that are not covered by any other official body. And that goes for cultural well-being, for example. And we are probably most known for awarding grants to professional artists and subsidies to communities in the art sector. But we are also offering expertise in the fields of creative industry and livelihoods, regionality, and inclusion. But however, there are changes on the way, and in the beginning of next year, we will merge a whole new agency called Arts and Culture Agency Finland. Yes, and we are joining our forces with National Audiovisual Institute, shortly KAVI. So there will be a new agency next year. There is some information missing, apparently, in this presentation, but yeah, something has happened, but it's okay. Yeah. We will. No worries. Yes.
I don't have those kind of like written notes, but let's see.
It will be improvised then. Yeah.
Improvised dancing session.
Okay. So I will talk about cooperation, and then Kati will talk about funding. So let's start with cooperation, and I will give you a brief history of cultural well-being here in Finland, and it will be very brief since we don't have too much time. But there has been a lot of development over the past 15 years for cultural well-being here in Finland, and you could say that the field has become more professional. And a policy analysis was published in August by Ministry of Education and Culture, and according to this report, the field is more professional at the moment. And it has to do, a turning point, I would say, was the Art and Culture for Wellbeing Action Program that went on during the years 2010 to 2014. And during that period, operations across administrative borders in Finland were developed. And also, very important part for this professionalization has to do with the governance and cross-administrative cooperation between two ministries, Ministry of Education and Culture and Ministry of Social Affairs and Health. So they have this joint Taiku 4 group. And of course, political programs, legal frameworks and funding arrangements have supported cultural well-being to be rooted in social and health services. Unfortunately, the document is in Finnish, so you cannot find it in English. But there is a really good article called From Grassroots Activities to National Policies. And if you are interested, I can send you a link after this event. So there has been grassroots actions in Finland, I would say from the year 1960s already. And there was Arts in Hospital project in the 1990s. But we are talking about this period because of the Arts and Culture Wellbeing Action Program. And after that program, there was another one called, yes, I'm just finding the name here. Yes, Development Program for Promoting Art Wellbeing and Social Inclusion, during which 14 projects around Finland were going on. Yes. So, to say more about the multi-sectoral cooperation here in Finland, I divided the actors operating in this field to 3 groups. First, we have governance and cross-administrative cooperation, and I already talked about this Taiku 4 group between 2 ministries. But there is also cooperation between us, Arts Promotion Centre Finland, and Institute for Health and Welfare. And there are projects going on at the moment in the area of, in the region of Lapland and Northern Savo called Wellbeing from Culture for the Elderly. That's a rough translation. But these projects have been funded by the Ministry of Social Affairs and Health. And we are providing assistance and expertise for these projects together with Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare. So that is something that we do as well on this level. And then important part in the cooperation is played by networks and research, of course. And they have an important role in sharing and implementing good practices and information. Multisectoral Coordination Center Taiku Sydän and their local networks have a really important role in this. And we also have Cultural Wellbeing Research and Education Center of Finland called Kuvere. And that is a cooperation between Metropolia, University of Applied Sciences and the University of Jyväskylä. And we also have a network called AILI for cultural senior and elderly work. And then we have this so-called joint interface of cultural well-being. And there we have well-being service counties, municipalities, arts and culture actors, also entrepreneurs, of course, organizations and education. So by this picture, I wanted to show who are the actors operating in the field of multi-sectoral cooperation. But there have been changes here as well when well-being service counties started in the year of 2023. And this means that in the beginning of this year, the responsibility for organizing healthcare, social welfare and rescue services was transferred from municipalities and joint municipal authorities to well-being service counties. And we have 21 of these well-being service counties in Finland in total, and Helsinki is still responsible for services in their own area. But for policies and frameworks to translate effectively into practice in this local and regional level remains still a work in progress, though we have progress. For example, responsibility for development of cultural well-being is relatively well defined in 65% of well-being areas at the moment. And they have this designated person who is responsible for the coordination. And the well-being area of Pirkanmaa hired the first culture coordinator, and this person has a permanent post, so that's a very good example for others. And we have good practices. Kaikukortti was mentioned earlier today. But there is still planning, implementation, monitoring of cultural well-being services and their impacts to do. And in this situation, I think we need cooperation more than ever. But thank you. Yes, Kati, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So I'll continue with even more dreary stuff compared to the case studies, but this is like the funding landscape from the Ministry of Culture side. So you can see that there has been kind of like steady funding of maybe €500,000 on a national level from the Ministry of Culture ever since 2011, I think. And yeah, it did have a rise in 2017 because of that initiative that Katri was talking about. But as you see from here, from the sector of Ministry of Culture, it's very hard to get new funding. They are basically doing cuts for 3 years now in a row, but they have not got that much from the culture and well-being, which is sort of like giving also like it sort of indicates the importance that they also hold this sector in, I think, because yeah, they are cutting from everything. So there's not much of opportunities maybe in the Ministry of Culture sector. We do have in Taike 2 funding calls currently. Those are like the application periods, and you can see there's the general grants for culture and project grants for culture. We used to have like last year we still had like a specific sum of money that goes to cultural well-being, but these categories were all we got rid of the categories because of the many facts. But let's say that the main fact was that we are moving from another system of applications, and then if we would have had 2 types of funding for projects and for organizations for each of those 5 minor categories, then the money would simply be like very, very small in each category, and it would be really hard to keep them in the categories and make sure that the best projects and best organizations still get the funding. So they are all now together, but we are still doing the statistics for culture and well-being funding, because if you apply for general grant for culture and your project is in the sector of cultural well-being, then we do statistics of that. And in 2024, when it was that's nice, when it was still its own sector. Oh my God, I can't even read from that. But it's like 1 in 3 applications was funded, and it was around 199 applications that we received. Yeah. And 53 were awarded. Thank you for that. So, yeah. Yeah, I think we had some kind of like background color that was missing in this, so that's why they look very weird. But as you see, as Katri was pointing out, that since Ministry of Culture funding is not increasing in Finland, I think the best help that we can sort of like give to this sector is do collaborations with health sector, because now the initiatives that Katri was mentioning, they give out a lot more money than we did, a lot more than this 500,000. So to build partnerships with the health ministries and they different funding bodies is very important, because then we can cooperate and then we can pass the money along in much more in bigger quantities than from the Ministry of Culture sector. These are like the funders from the social and health sector in Finland. I know that you know these already, but anyway, I wanted to mention them. And what I want to maybe say a few words on, I know that the foundations have been really important in Finland in funding this sector. And I would also maybe sort of like point out that the impact investment, like the private investment, private investors who are looking for making an impact on society could be an important funding sector for you guys, but you need to measure the impact very well and do the presentations for them very well. But I think they are looking to make an impact. For example, last year I visited this House of Impact event that was held in November in Puistokatu, and it gathered of all family funding sort of like families who have private funds. And it was a very interesting event because even though they had a lot of money, it's very, very hard to make an impact on anything that you really want to influence. So when there was a presentations that they tried to, they gave, for example, 100 million a year to try to help the coffee pickers to do more sustainable working environments for the people who actually do the work. And whatever they gave, it was just there came a new sort of like group of people that took the money, and the people were worse off. So it's very, very hard to make an impact. And I think the culture is, we have like a lot of impact. So just to demonstrate the impact, I think is good idea to build those kind of like measurements and go to the private funders as well. Foundations have been in Finland very good at funding this. Am I over already on time? There's links, but we can send you the proper presentation with the links. So there's a lot of funding sources. Of course, the municipalities fund things a lot, cities, all levels, but there's a much smaller funding, of course. Then I wanted to say something about the entrepreneurship in the arts and culture in this sector as well. I think the previous presentation gave a lot more in a sense that case studies are always very helpful. But I wanted to maybe point out two things from this slide, that there has been new brokerage models tried in Finland, such as this Kulttuuripankki, which tries to give a platform where the people who are buying things would find culture. And I think that's very important, that you have something in between that makes it easier, the process of actually finding and buying. And also I wanted to point out this Uusimaa Cultural Market project that they tried. It was very interesting because they gathered all of their municipalities, and then they actually gave them a bit of money to buy something. And then the municipalities draw these kind of proposals, what they wanted to buy. And I think almost all the proposals were for cultural well-being projects. So even though they didn't have that much money, it was interesting, I think, to see that there's a lot of need in the municipality level for the cultural well-being. Yeah, so I think that's it. I mean, the other things are so general that I'm saving you time.
Thank you, Kati. But ladies, please don't run away. But maybe we can open space now for questions, like two questions, 5 minutes for a proper discussion. Thank you for the interesting presentation, and sorry for the technical issues. Okay, yeah, I know how it can be stressful. So, any questions from the audience? Is there anything in a chat on YouTube? No, Bernardo? Okay. So, we move forward. Are you ready? Okay. So, and I invite then Dawn on the stage. Yeah, so I checked your presentation is the same you sent me, so no surprises. Yeah, I think you can introduce yourself, right? Yeah, okay, super, yeah. So, here you go, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dace. I'm just wondering how I'm going to navigate the microphone, the script, and the laptop, but I think I can do it.
I can help you with the clicker.
If I just nod at you, like that. Okay, thank you. So, hi everybody. My name's Dawn Prescott, and I'm a visual artist and the director of Lime Arts. Lime is an arts and health organisation based in Manchester in the UK, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here today. Special thanks to Ville and Dace for inviting me and all the hard work that's gone into organising this lovely event. So, what is Lime? We are an arts and health organisation based within a hospital setting at the Manchester Foundation Trust, which I will refer to as MFT throughout my presentation. We deliver a multi-stranded arts and music programme for patients and staff that aims to use arts interventions to promote health and wellbeing. So, the past few years have been rather significant for Lime Arts. 2023 marked our 50th anniversary, and just after the pandemic, we opened the UK's first hospital-based arts and wellbeing centre, where our flagship project, Create Plus, the arts referral service for staff, is delivered. So it's a real privilege and honour to have the opportunity to be back here in Finland, a country I'm personally very fond of and feel very connected to, having visited and worked here many times. I think one of the most enriching experiences for me was when I visited, I was invited to work as an artist in residence at the Central Finland Hospital in Jyväskylä in 2017. I was invited by the city of Jyväskylä and Taiki Arts Promotion Centre, who wanted to understand how the participatory arts could work in their hospitals to help patients. I delivered a 6-week printmaking residency with young people in a secure mental health unit. We spent the time exploring printmaking techniques and developing artworks, which were then transformed by Tuukka, the electronics technician who I was working with, into a living, breathing artwork called Pascal, who you can see here. So what I learned during this very special time in the hospital was that young Finnish people are incredibly creative and imaginative. And something quite wonderful happened on this project. A small group of young women who I was working with at the start of the project were described by the staff as elective mutes, were at the end of the project all talking and communicating with each other and no longer mutes. So just a little example of the power of art and creativity. As for Pascal, I don't know where he is. The last I heard, he was in the Central Finland Museum, but I'm not sure. So for today, I've prepared a presentation to give everyone an overview of the arts programme delivered in Manchester by Lime Arts, with a focus on the participatory arts and our award-winning Create Plus arts referral service for NHS staff. So MFT is one of the largest teaching hospitals in Europe and responsible for running a family of 10 hospitals across 7 separate sites, providing a wide range of services from comprehensive local general hospital care through to highly specialised regional and national services. MFT provides hospital care to approximately 790,000 people in Manchester and is the single largest provider of specialist services in the northwest of England. It's a really huge, complex organisation with around 2,600 beds across 10 sites. It is also one of the biggest employers in Greater Manchester. At the moment, we have around 28,000 staff. So just to set some regional context, Greater Manchester is in the northwest of England, where the arts and health movement has been thriving since the early 70s. Steeped in its rich cultural history, Greater Manchester itself has committed to becoming a creative health city region. This means that GM will be the first city region in the world to realise the power of creativity, culture and heritage in addressing inequalities and improving the health and well-being of its residents. And our programme, working with the NHS staff, is playing a major role in the delivery plan. Over the past half century, first known as Hospital Arts and later becoming Lime, our artists continue to ensure patients and staff are at the heart of all the creative projects delivered across the hospitals. The images obtained here are from the National Arts and Health Archive stored at the Wellcome Trust in London, and they document participatory arts projects that have been delivered across the wards and in the communities since the early 70s. Lyme is, in fact, the oldest hospital-based arts and health team in the UK, and we were set up in 1973. So creativity is central to humanity, and as Pablo Picasso once said, art is the elimination of the unnecessary, and as Article 27 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states, everybody has the right to enjoy the arts and have access to creative expression. Bringing creativity and art into our hospital settings does not just give people a diversion or a chance to learn new skills, but it connects and enables communities to flourish and thrive. Whether that be a particular team, a ward of patients, or NHS staff referred into the Create Plus project. So what are the benefits of these projects? We're all well aware by now of the vast amounts of evidence that exist to support the tremendous benefits of accessing the arts, and how that can, the impact that can have on our mental and physical health and well-being. What is important to me as a visual artist and also the director of Lyme is, of course, gathering more data, but even more so, I view the quality of both the creative process and the creative experience that we offer people as fundamentally important to the health and well-being outcomes. So how do we do this? It's so important to make sure that any artist you collaborate with or commission and invite into your hospital has the necessary skill, experience and knowledge to meet the complex needs of staff and patients. The success and longevity of Lyme's entire programme pivots on the expertise of the artists that we employ, as well as the support, training and direction we provide for them. For me, I believe very strongly that professionalising the role of the artist within healthcare is fundamental to sustaining the work. At Lyme, we really look after our artists. We support them with training, CPD, peer-to-peer support, including reflective practice, and we always pay them properly. We also, of course, make sure we document and evaluate the work well, because in healthcare, as we all know, we really do need to show the data and the numbers to demonstrate impact. Nevertheless, I don't think we need to invest all of our energies into evaluation, because the quality of the art and the creative experiences we are providing for people can be as transformative. And Create Plus, which I will talk about soon, really demonstrates this. So, briefly, an overview of our core programme strands. So the Built Environments programme involves working with various hospital stakeholders that include planning and estates, the charity, clinicians, senior nursing teams, architects, etc., to commission artists and produce site-specific artworks for permanent installation. These projects can range from architectural glass windows, as shown in this image here, to the transformation of public spaces. This handmade glass piece spans 4 stories within the Women's Hospital in Manchester. Or it might be an outdoor project like the Deer Courtyard here at the Manchester Eye Hospital. We can also create more child-friendly environments to support the delivery of services like Starship X-ray at the Manchester Children's Hospital Radiology Unit. These are just to name a few examples of our built environments projects. Please visit our website to see the portfolio if you'd like more information. So how do we make sure that these projects, especially these built environment projects, are successful and appropriate for healthcare settings? Artist-led consultation and meaningful engagement underpins everything that we do at Lyme. Our artists always take staff and patients on a journey to develop the artwork. The collaboration led by the artists involving healthcare staff as clinical experts and patients as experts by experience is a truly enriching and inspiring process for all parties. Without the end user's input throughout the creative process, these art programs and public artworks could lack meaning and depth, and in some cases turn out highly inappropriate and even damaging for clinical services. This is why the way in which we commission artists and deliver a project is so very important, again relating back to Lyme's core values of artistic integrity and quality. So the participatory arts. The participatory art strand of work is patient-focused and takes place on the wards, directly at the bedside of various patients. Across the year, Lyme provides on average 300 ward-based participatory arts and music sessions for patients. We work closely with directors of nursing and senior leadership teams within the hospital, matrons, ward managers and therapeutic teams. Lyme offers a vibrant program of music, dance and visual arts, engaging with a variety of patients ranging from complex health, adult rehabilitation, emergency surgery and critical care. This strand of work provides a really good example of how we care for our artists. Working in acute ward settings across adult services can be extremely challenging. You never quite know what is going to happen on a ward that day or who an artist may encounter. So it's our duty of care as the commissioning body within the hospital to provide appropriate training and support for all the artists and musicians working in the wards. So for example, our very experienced lead artists and musicians deliver specialised training for any new musicians that we bring into the programme. We always pair the lesser experience with the leads when they start out, who also provide reflection after each session, as well as ongoing mentorship. And then for our lead artists, musicians, they participate regularly in group CPD sessions and regular reflective practice and peer-to-peer reviews. With regard to informing the wider hospital community about this specialised work in the wards, we document it using photography and film and host annual exhibitions, roundtables and symposiums aimed specifically at the senior leaders within the hospitals. Developing the relationship with key senior leaders within the hospital is fundamental to the programme surviving and our artists and musicians being recognised as professionals within healthcare settings. So just moving on to some other areas of work within the programme. So we have live performances. We have a public-facing live concert and performance programme that's delivered in collaboration with the Royal Northern College of Music and the Halle Orchestra. We provide about 90 live concerts a year in the Manchester Eye Hospital atrium, and that's directed at visiting patients and their families and carers. We also host a hospital art festival and curate exhibitions at 2 hospital art galleries every year. So including our staff wellbeing programme that I haven't even talked about yet, on average Lyme delivers about 600 creative interventions for staff and patients every year, engaging approximately 20,000 people with varying degrees of creative experience. Next slide, please. And that's not including any additional activities and events that we might host. So may I add, we are a core team of 3 people at Lyme Arts, but we also have about 20 artists and musicians currently employed to deliver the actual body of work. So moving on now to talk a little bit about the creative projects supporting the NHS staff. So Manchester Foundation Trust has grown over recent years, expanding to the north and south of the region. And during this time, Lyme has grown too, the programme, not the core staff. Our online arts project for staff was launched in 2020 in direct response to the pandemic, soon followed by the opening of the Lyme Arts and Wellbeing Centre in 2022. The Arts Centre that you can see here on the slide is the first hospital-based, fully facilitated artist printmaking studio in the UK. And we're really proud to have this unique creative space at the hospital site, making technical art and printmaking processes fully accessible to NHS staff, and which has in turn created this really exciting global landmark for arts and health. So since the Arts Centre opened in 2022, over 2,000 NHS staff, including many frontline staff, have accessed the arts by either participating on a 2-hour team building workshop or by accessing Create Plus. So let's talk a little bit about Create Plus. Create Plus is our flagship multi-award winning wellbeing project for NHS staff. Research and data shows how since the pandemic, mental health across healthcare sector has plummeted and continues to do so. It's clearly acknowledged that the NHS workforce have become and are continuing to become increasingly burnt out and leaving in extremely high numbers. So retaining staff within the NHS is a massive priority right now in the UK. So what is Create Plus? Create Plus launched in 2022. It's different from, and it's delivered from the Arts and Wellbeing Centre. It's the first hospital-based arts referral service for NHS staff in the UK. The project has developed an evidence base to demonstrate how accessing the arts through work improves personal well-being and self-care. The programme is aimed at NHS staff experiencing high levels of stress, anxiety, and/or approaching burnout. Both NHS staff on sick leave and those in work can access the programme. And what's really unique about this service is that staff, including frontline staff, with their line manager's agreement and support, are given permission to attend art workshops during work time. In fact, we currently have more referrals for staff in work than those that are off work, which is just testament to the real impact this project is having on people. The programme has an annual provision to deliver 15 6-week courses with no more than 7 people on each course. Each course is led by one of Lyme's lead artists, and activities may include visual arts, including printmaking, ceramics, 3D design and sculpture, creative writing, poetry and bookmaking. We only employ professional artists experienced enough to deliver Create Plus. The required skill set, as with all of our programmes, is very specific and specialised for this programme. I just want to highlight here as well how important it is to remember that the artists we employ are artists, not arts therapists, but of course both deliver a service with therapeutic outcomes. Our Create Plus artists enable NHS staff, many having never participated in an arts workshop ever before, to engage in high quality art making in the safe setting of the Arts Centre. Lead artists teach and equip participants with printmaking and visual arts knowledge and specialist skills so they can themselves produce quality artwork, a process in itself that has many therapeutic benefits. Create Plus lead artist Colette Whittington is an expert printmaker teaching processes that include Japanese woodcut, etching, collagraph and screen printing. Another of our artists, Lucy Bursko, is a renowned sculptress, painter and visual artist. Both these artists have their own unique abilities to enable them to work with vulnerable groups of people and also produce really good quality artistic outcomes. A very special and unique skill central to this project's success, and something that I can assure you not every artist holds. So just to show you some examples, next slide please, Dace. All the artwork in these images have been produced by NHS staff, and just to remind, some people have never attended an art workshop in their life apart from at school. As you can see, quite a lovely, next slide, nice collection, which also highlights something else which I always like to mention, which is the democratic process of printmaking, in that it's pretty much accessible to everyone once you're taught how to do it. So we do have a short film, but I don't have time to show it today. But anybody who's interested, if you just go to the next slide, anybody that's interested can watch the film on our website here. It's got a really lovely account from a consultant anaesthetist about her experience in accessing Create Plus, and a very thought-provoking response from her, if you'd like to watch that. So now just a little bit about evaluation and impact. So the Create Plus pilot was evaluated by meaningful measures using MyCore, which is a validated and robust measure for designing and evaluating holistic and personalised approaches to supporting people. A non-invasive, anonymous survey was used to determine stress levels, well-being levels and feelings about the workplace. In addition, a series of in-depth interviews, case studies have also been produced to highlight the impact of Create Plus. In brief, Create Plus evaluation showed how 97% of participants rated the course as excellent. On completing Create Plus, there was a statistically significant reduction in perceived stress scores and improvement in ONS4 measures of well-being. 45% of participants at follow-up also felt that Create Plus had made them want to stay in their job, and fewer people were intending to leave the NHS in 12 months. If only we could put a cost saving against that. So Create Plus was set up by Lyme in response to the pandemic, and we used a very straightforward, non-invasive evaluation tool to measure mental health. That has resulted in robust data, which has been presented to and accepted by the NHS Trust where we are based, meaning this data is valid within the context of healthcare. As a result, we now receive a significant allocation of funds, not from the charity who has over many years funded us, but from the Division of Workforce. So that is NHS money that we're now receiving to provide this work. We're seeing the arts referral service become embedded within the structure of the organisation, which is very important because it relates back to what I said at the very beginning about how we need to try to change culture and attitudes towards the arts so that the work artists deliver in hospitals is recognised and valued. None of the above could have been achieved without the skill, knowledge, expertise, and most importantly, the artistic integrity of our artists and musicians that we very carefully select and employ to deliver this programme. So if you'd like to access the full evaluation report about Create Plus, the staff referral programme, you can do that on our website. There's also lots more information on there because I have just skimmed the surface today. But I just wanted to thank everybody for listening. Thanks again for inviting me, and please do get in touch if you've got any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Indeed, a super interesting presentation. Thank you for this great insight. But I'm sure you have some questions here in the audience. Please. Yeah, Clara, please.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think it was very inspiring to hear the work that you do, and especially how you work with both patients and the staff and the institution more generally. You talked at the beginning about the sense of humanity that those projects create. And I think if we think in France, we have a national convention that really focuses on that question of humanity and dignity. But then when it comes to indicators in evaluation, it's always tricky to make sure that we show that kind of impact compared to therapeutical impact that usually kind of wins on that side. So I was wondering how, in terms of communication, and how in your evaluation you managed to evaluate the sense of humanity that those projects bring, and how did you communicate within the health sector? Because you were also saying how the health sector needs to have evaluation. So how did you communicate with them in that regard?
Thank you. So I think it's a combination of things. We, like I mentioned, we have we do evaluation for the Create Plus project with the staff. We had that very robust data set, which was an external evaluation. But are you referring to work in the wards with the patients directly? Because it's very difficult. It's so hard to produce numbers and data and stats for people who you can't, it's sometimes inappropriate to even speak to somebody, a patient, in a ward-based setting. So we have a multi-layered approach to that. I would say that our long-standing position within the hospital helps. We have a very we're very reputable people, know about us, they value the work, they've experienced it firsthand, and that really goes a long way, especially with senior leaders and chiefs. We are solely hospital-based. We also, those development of those relationships with the senior leaders and getting them on board and back in the projects is so important. So next week we have a symposium, like an annual symposium directed at them, where the artists have an opportunity to talk to them, but it's a combination of artists and healthcare professionals that sit down and have discussions together. So we have the chief nurse of the entire trust attending that event, and she'll be kind of like hosting it and chairing it. So that's really important and really powerful. And I think observations from healthcare staff, clinicians, of seeing the musicians and the artists in the ward. And like I say, it's so specialised, the work that they do. You can't just get any artist to go into a hospital setting and do an arts project. They need support, they need training, they need constant support throughout the lifespan of the project. So it's a combination of different things, really. We're just in the process of delivering some small impact studies at the hospital, and we're measuring things like, we're doing a before assessment of a ward with a high rate of assault from patients, and then we're actually putting our musicians into the space, and we've got an external researcher who's going to measure and look for a variation before and after type thing, and then with a view to that leading on to a bigger project. But I would really like some input from the university in Manchester to sort of work alongside us and document this stuff for us. So I hope that answers. Oh, we have exhibitions, and they're really powerful as well. Photography, films, documenting the work through a photograph can be so powerful. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you a lot. So as we are here to talk about the money a bit as well, so maybe one question from my side. Have you ever thought about selling your services outside the walls of the hospital, as you are like the independent center, if I understood correctly?
So we used to work in the community as well, but as I mentioned, we're a team of 3 staff. So one of my, I get asked this all the time, but one of my things that I'm very committed to is the quality of the work that we deliver and supporting the artists. So I view, if we tried to do that, we would be currently spreading ourselves too thinly. So again, it would be a lot of money would be required to enable us to do that. I do get asked that question a lot, especially about the staff projects and how we would sort of replicate that model elsewhere, because everybody wants it. But I'm like, if you want it, you need to provide the resource and the funding to do it properly, So, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So again, about the resources, all right, yeah. So with that, I think we can conclude this morning's session. So, but the conversations can definitely continue beyond this setting. So please have a cup of coffee, some sandwich and some fruits, and we are back in 30 minutes, 11:35. Yeah, thank you.
It's 11:35, and if we want to finish on time and have our lunch, then we should start now the next keynote. Where is our Mina? Mina is coming there. Yeah. We won't start with you without you. Okay, great.
Hello everyone and welcome back from the break. When you find your seats, try to find seats on the actual auditorium seats so that nobody needs to stay on the side. So please squeeze in the middle and this way you don't get cold as we need to keep the windows open. Thank you.
Thank you for this careful notice, Ville. Okay, so let's get back to our next keynote. How to develop resilient and sustainable businesses into arts and health. And today this keynote will be delivered by two excellent professionals, Miina Savolainen, photographer, inventor of the empowering photography methodology, and she's showcased as well in our casebook, and Clara Bourgeois. Clara is director of Culture and Health Center in Nouvelle-Aquitaine in France. And they are our Awake project partners as well. So now over to you, ladies.
Thank you. Can you hear? Yeah, that's working. Okay, so we have 20 minutes to discuss. Working? Perfect. 20 minutes to discuss together Miina's work that you can also find in the Awake project and that in the Awake casebook, and that was introduced this morning by Annabelle as well, if you want to take another look at it. Maybe to start with, if you could introduce yourself and maybe with a focus on how did you get to work as an artist on that question of art and health? And just so you know, you have some pictures behind. We won't stop them and they will just come around, but it can give you an overview of your work.
My dear fellow artists, I'm honored to be here. My name is Miina Savolainen, and I have now about 30 years background with art and well-being in Finland. And I have developed the method called empowering photography, which is more about a gaze, how we look each other. And it's about a more gentle and compassion look, an appreciative and reciprocal look. Photography is kind of a means or tool to recognize how we look ourselves and each other and change it more reciprocal. And my history is that I was young, enthusiastic artist and social educator as well. I have two different kind of areas. On 1998, and I went to children's home, and I worked there many years, and I just felt that there's something wrong how you see professionality, because the children, they aim and belong to and longing for to be loved, but we have kind of professional tools which were totally wrong. They were harsh and just wrong in perspective of a child's need. And I thought that I cannot do my work unless I find something else. And then came my own background. I'm a big sister, and I have grown up with family pictures and narratives, and I have had a lot of love in my childhood. And I have kind of a core narrative in my life that when I was 3 years old child, my own mother just found me in tears front of my little brother, who were just a little baby. and my mother asked me, why you're crying? What is the matter with you? And then I just thought that Ville, who was the name of my brother, Ville is so beloved and lovely that I just wanted to be Ville. And that you can love someone so much that your limits between you kind of disappear. And you cannot have enough just by seeing the person you love. And when I started to photograph, I was a big sister, about 10 or 11 years old. And then I just thought that I want to photograph how dear Ville and my sister too are to me. And when I photograph and just look at a person and some mark is left then to the film, then actually it catches how I see the person, how much I love the person, and my love is in the picture, and I can give it to my brother and tell him that this is how much I love you. And at the same time, there is kind of a big sorrow, kind of existential sorrow that unfortunately it's possible that my brother don't see himself that way than I see him. And it's even possible that my love is not meaningful him. And that's why actually the whole thing about empowering photography is it possible that we can kind of learn to look at each other better? Is it better that I just ask him, do I see you right? How should I see you? And then it might be that he feels that I even try to see him in a right way from his perspective, which is totally different than mine. And these things actually came in when I started to work with children who have a lot of traumas and difficult things in their background. And I just thought that if I photograph how lovable and valuable those children are, could it be possible that they can see their value in a picture? And actually, that hit the nail, but totally different way than I thought, because they didn't see their value in the pictures. The pictures were kind of shocking for them at first. And we actually find the kind of core thing in human beings' life that everyone of us should kind of learn to look at ourselves more gentle and loving way during our lifetime. And it's not always easy, because we have also a lot of hard things and experience of being seen in a wrong way. A lot of that kind of things, which makes it harder. But in the end, it starts a really big project called Loveliest Girl in the World. We did it for 10 years or even 20 years, and there was exhibition and book, which were really loved in Finland. And at the same time, from the beginning, I started to make cooperation with research field and social care field and educational field. And during these 30 years, I have kind of built a huge network, and I have educated 3,000 social workers or therapists or doctors or nurses in Finland during 1 year basic education of the method of empowering photography. An idea is how they can see their clients in their client's perspective and be more dialogue. And there are many steps with education, and also when we have hard times, especially after pandemic, and everybody in cultural field just know how hard time these are. We also started kind of flexible things, how for example, because I have all the time kind of neglect of employees, I have no fun to just hire so many people I need. Then I started to change education with the researcher or people who can just help me to create the network of appreciative gaze and in this society. So we are just trying to make it bigger when it's our time. So being resilient and flexible. So that's this in a nutshell.
So if I understand right, what I hear is that both to disseminate your work, but also to find a sustainable economic model for your work. I hear two main things. The first one was the training that enabled you to kind of disseminate the perspective that you're working on. And also the question of being surrounded by partners that helped you, both researchers, but also other partners, meaning that you haven't hired people, but you've created a community of partners around you.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was, can we still hear? Yeah. That was the question also behind, like, when we talked to prepare this morning, we talked about the question between prototyping your work versus the singularity of your artistic work. And how do you manage this balance between the wish to disseminate your work and at the same time, as an artist, keeping the singularity of your artistic approach?
Yeah, that's hard because the whole core in this method is a kind of freedom and creativity and also intuitive things that you just being sensitive to the dialogue, and the art is something which is built up between us and we don't know yet what it will be. And for that I actually the structure is in the method, the theory of method, and our principles, how we work. It's kind of principles how we look and how we speak about the pictures, and how we are acting in a process, and ways of feedbacks and that kind of things. So everybody has kind of ethical structure how to acting, but inside the process, we can do anything. I can do kind of team days for working places, or a therapeutical process with families or couples, or peer groups or anything. But and the acting is kind of free, but you have certain of structure. But the real prototyping, making kind of brand or packages is hard to me. And selling is hard to me. It would helping if I had kind of selling group, or because I don't see myself as an entrepreneur at all. Actually, I see myself as a making world a better place person. But I always encourage, for example, my students who are working in field of social work and healthcare and so on, that because in those fields are so strict service system, that they actually has very hard to sell their ideas to their employees or their team leaders, that they had to have little anarchy, that they are packaging what they are doing in a certain terms or certain targets they had in a care, and then when they have the kind of space to do something, they have certain kind of universe. This is your space with the client, and inside that you have kind of universe of that certain person's inner worlds. You can do anything.
So what I understand is that
you have to be kind of
the sustainability that you managed to develop over your 30 years of work you didn't have to go through putting things into a box, but you managed to just give a framework to people that everyone could adapt, keeping the singularity of each approach, but at the same time disseminating the project without putting it just in a very close way where people wouldn't have any room for maneuver to develop it. And maybe because we don't have much time, I will have one last question. It's the kind of advice that you would give to artists questioning this question of the sustainable and resilient business. And I know you've worked on some kind of what you call the recipe for that.
Yeah,
so share some.
I have so much ideas about these things because it's so important. I guess flexibility, it's maybe the most important thing. Be resilient and keep your own core just close to you, so you are present to your own story and your ethical aims. It's very important. And after that, just don't wait funding from somewhere, because I also have been in that position that I have to read those wonderful plans, and I have just so tiny amount of money to give those, and that's very sad. So it's important to create a network and do cooperation, and also get to know those fields where you work and their language and their problems and needs very well. Have more education or do volunteer work to know your clients better. And most important, be dialogue. Don't think that your own art will heal someone else. because that's very healing ourselves too, that we think about that my art is something so important that it gives important thing for other persons. But I think it's important to let that idea go and think that you're just midwifing something which is the other person's own. And then the art will be kind of miracle which is happening between you. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we're on time. Thank you.
Great, thank you ladies a lot. You are like perfect timing. So now I invite here on the stage to join Mina. Yeah, you stay. Bruno Galis from the Regional Directorate of Cultural Affairs in the Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region in France. Olga Kizina, lead expert at Creative Business Network and business consultant, and artist Sandra Abreu. And Sandra is an art therapist, and this little discussion will be facilitated by Ville. So Ville, please, the floor is yours. And the topic is the same. We just explore around how to develop resilience and sustainable businesses into arts and health setting. Yes, Mina? I thought you wanted to ask something.
Sorry.
No. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Dace, and thank you for all the interesting presentations and keynotes earlier today. And as Dace said, we will continue with these very same topics now in this keynote. For those who might possibly weren't here in the very beginning, once more, I'm Ville Pellinen, the CEO of Lapinlahden Lähde Ltd, operating this Center for Mental Wellbeing, Arts, Culture and Societal Entrepreneurship, and hosting this panel discussion today. Dace presented briefly you all, but once more, we have Olga, we have Sandra, we have Mina, and we have Bruno, and I hope that it's okay that we can call each other with the first names to make this more unofficial. I see nodding, so yeah. That's good. So in this discussion, the title is how to align professional business expectations with the real world needs. So in practice, it means that as we are talking about arts, culture, well-being, healthcare, how to combine these maybe a bit differing worlds also with different expectations and targets, and how to also build entrepreneurship on top of those. And naturally, we probably will comment also some discussions of earlier today in this discussion. But without further ado, dear friends, are you ready for the discussion? Okay, great. So let's go. And for timing reasons, there are questions that we might not be asking from all of you. So then I will present it to one of you at a time. But to start with, I would like to ask any of you, you can raise your hand if you want to answer, to just express some thought that this day has raised, something that you think is worth mentioning of the earlier presentations, or in this arts and well-being topic in general. Who would like to start? Yes, Olga.
Thank you. I was so inspired by Mina's speech, and actually what I would like to highlight as well is that when we talk about creative entrepreneurship, or in general entrepreneurship in art and culture spheres, of course we first talk about love. So I would encourage everyone to think first, when you are thinking about your creative businesses, to first look inside yourself to find the love, what you love to do, and then to present it to the world. So in this case, creative entrepreneurship is more about how to disseminate your love, your passion, and your values to the bigger audience. So we will talk about this later, I imagine, but entrepreneurship is not about, let's say, selling something. I mean, because we are creative entrepreneurs, it's about sharing something that is purposeful, is meaningful for a bigger audience, and to find ways to offer happiness, emotions, healing to those who are needed. So thank you, Mina, for this inspiration. It was really nice presentation of your works.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. Does someone want to add something to this?
Hi, I'm Sandra. I'm an artist and art therapist. I'm here today. Sorry for my English. I will read a little to help me. And it's difficult for the artists today because today artists are asked to be multitaskers, entrepreneur, teacher, mediator, and also open their eyes and give expression to our society. It's very pressure for the artists too. And today I've founded an association of Lilomino, the place of creativity. And we search with a cooperation with a researcher, yes, and the artists and the citizens of city, the linking with art, with science and society. It's more important that for the business too, for the model economics too, and I think it's the model in the same time since morning. It's a hybrid model. It's a new models for artists today.
Mina.
Yeah. I just think that it's so important that we are all here, because in this field, I guess it would be wonderful if we just started to create kind of a center or kind of a place where are a lot of knowledge about the arts and health, and also where you can have kind of fixers or managers or persons who can be the bridge between healthcare and social care and the artists, and make even easier to artists adapt to the field of care. Because when I started my job, there wasn't any structure to get fund, for example, to arts and well-being. If you had that kind of implement, the funder just thought that if you have connected to the care, it makes art kind of less important, because art itself don't be important at this case. But nowadays, it's obviously that every organizations who just fund the arts and well-being, they have kind of structure, certain kind of activity, but it's so a tiny sector, and also there are a lot of limits what kind of projects and what kind of trends you have in a certain times, and that makes it causes a lot of problems to artists just to make so much implements and also adapt your ideas what the funder just might thought. So it's kind of random what it is in there. So it would be easier if we artists can make cooperation straight with the care field without that kind of step in the process.
Yeah, and actually, before we continue, I will actually give Bruno you the next speech, but we are now in the very core on why the whole Awake program has been initiated. So thank you, Sandra, thank you, Miina, because what was identified, and many of you probably identify as well, this kind of problem that for an artist or for a healthcare or well-being professional, first of all, many times kind of the final beneficiary to whom we generate well-being impacts many times is not the same person who is eventually paying for the product or services or methods. And also why this Awake initiative was started was that in many cases these arts and well-being kind of approaches, as we heard from Miina or from Taike or from Dawn, they might have sustainable funding sources or they might not have, and far too often it's the latter, i.e. that it's project funding, or as Taike, for example, said themselves, that the grants are quite small. So then we started investigating this field and how to create creative entrepreneurship on this field exactly to somehow more directly and with a more sustainable funding be able for artists to enter the healthcare and well-being sector. And on that note, I think that we can deep dive now into one of the most crucial questions on the whole kind of ecosystem, funding sources, sustainability of business, bearing in mind that especially if you have an artistic identity and strong artistic integrity, i.e. you don't want to sacrifice yourself for sales, but you want to be an artist. Question, Bruno first. Have you identified some really good platforms, ecosystems, networks, funding sources? You proposed, Miina, that we should now establish some new hub or center or network, but can you, Bruno, name any good examples on, to be honest, where to get the money for all this?
That's a tricky question. And maybe we all want to have this answer, and I have no answer to this. But just to understand from where I speak, I work in the French Ministry of Culture, and so in a regional directorate, but I'm from the French Ministry of Culture, and I'm kind of an advisor, and I do the link between artists, politicians, and communities, and my job is to bring culture to every people. So I fund and I advocate for artistic programs or initiatives in schools, in jails, in hospitals, in I don't know, rural areas, poor suburbs, and that's my job. So, in a way, I'm part of a solution because our national fundings cannot afford to finance everything. But my job is to advocate for this public policy and to encourage others to take part in financing this topic. And so every time I talk to a politician, every time I don't know, I allow an artist to meet like a social worker or someone else, and that the connection it feels right and the project is good for the beneficiaries, then people are willing to, I don't know, to support it. And so to find, like, obviously money, but also resources, people, staff to help doing it. And so, yeah, there's no, to answer your question, I don't think there's a platform that gave us the solution, but the solution is cooperation, is dialogue, and it's kind of, in a way, communication. So to say that every single project you bring works, and so yeah.
Yeah, a quick additional question. That's what we in this program believe in as well. So networks, platforms, connection. So in other words, maybe not so much an individual hero artist all by him or herself, but more as kind of joint efforts. So in France, how kind of common is it to use this kind of impact investment, meaning that from the kind of public budget you provide some part of the funding and then kind of some private investor would provide the rest, and then not expecting high levels of kind of monetary returns but some measured impact. Do you use something like this?
We have very few private incomes and private support. Most of the money comes from public system, from at a national scale, but also at regional, local scales. And it's kind of a specificity of our country, which culture is a shared competence in a way. And so everyone is willing to help if everything works well. But obviously with economics problems, people are fighting more to keep money or to find money. So we have to find new ways to develop our economic system. And so yeah, we've got some foundations which are willing to support this health and care system, heart health and care system. We've got like national programs or NGOs which are also working in this specific field. But once more, in the cultural field, maybe I was in Turku at the beginning of the week, and for the International Health and Culture and Health Forum, and so for a week I've seen so many people which are willing to develop culture and health projects and initiatives. But if you unzoom, if you've got a broader point of view, we've got 70 million inhabitants in France, and I think not even 1 million knows what culture and health is. So you see what I mean is that I really think that we have to talk about it, to communicate, and that's why your presentation in UK was so inspiring, and all your projects as well, because we've got like the tools maybe to raise awareness and to maybe have more funders in the future.
Yeah, we will actually get back to this awareness topic a bit later, but for Olga at this point, as you come from the Creative Business Network, so talking about creative business and about this notion of sustainable business, not only relying on public funding, how do you see what kind of business models, funding sources might there be for arts and well-being practitioners and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's really important to continue thinking about your artistic and your creative projects as a business at some point, meaning that let's say, finding your comfortable zone of communication with your potential partners and clients, finding your comfortable scaling activities as well. What could you share? What could you offer to the public? And in this point, maybe the main question arises is that who are your potential partners and clients? And this you have to define while thinking about the problem you are solving. So first we start with love. So what you love, what you can do. Then you find, okay, whom my passion, whom my love can actually help. What can I bring to the world? And then finding the problem, you actually search for different channels of communication with potential partners. So for example, if your solution is for public health institutions, then the question arises, how can you start communicating with them and promoting your business there? And I would say that one of the, let's say, interesting entering point might be taking part in the hackathons or in the ecosystem programs provided by the hospitals or by universities. I know there are plenty of them in Germany, across Europe. I know there's a Hinova in Portugal, Health and Innovation in Germany, in Switzerland as well. So, I mean, just to try to find some platforms, maybe forums, maybe conferences, where you could actually meet those who can be your partners, you know. And Dawn, I think, shared a lot, and thank you so much for your insights, because you said very important thing, you have to show also impact. So when you communicate with the professionals from the healthcare, try to learn how to speak their language. So meaning, of course, you communicate your problem, what kind of problem you are solving, but also turn it into the numbers. For example, my solution improves the sleep quality by 10%. So give some numbers, provide some evidence that your solution is actually working for those who are using this. If your partner is a private specialist, a private therapist, for example, then it's a bit easier to find contact with them because they're a bit more flexible in terms of the contracts, in terms of these partnerships conditions. But then you have to think, okay, if it is a solution for their patients, for their clients, you have to think how to make them look nice in front of their patients, in front of their clients. Because they will not recommend you just because you are nice. They will recommend you because your solution or your project will make them nice. So it's all about communication in the end. And what I will also encourage you when communicating, doesn't matter with which partner, try to prepare some evidences, kind of research, academic referrals, maybe testimonials from your customers, from your users. Try to prepare this database where you can actually prove that your solution is working and you have already some outcomes. Another channel, I'm finishing. I mean, it's a long topic. I really invite everyone to join my workshop today about business modeling. If you feel more comfortable to communicate, not directly with a healthcare specialist, but for example, if you are an artist and you feel more comfortable to start communicating with museums, then why not? Then you have a chance to create your own network. So for example, I know there are plenty projects happening across Europe when museums are really willing to take part in well-being projects. So why not to start the collaboration with a museum and then reaching out to health industry institutions on behalf of the museum. So it means that you will have some kind of strong backup, some strong support from the institution of culture where you kind of speak the same language, but at the same time you are bringing your own network. And the last thing, I promise. When you define your problem and you know that your solution is actually working on this problem, try to find other, not competitors, but other providers of the same of maybe other services, of other products, but who are targeting the same problem. And don't treat them as competitors, treat them as potential partners. And it might be some kind of barter collaboration where you can say, okay, let's create something together. So what you're doing, you're using their channels, their audience for your own purposes, right? So make this market analysis. It sounds really like market analysis, my God. Just, like brief research about who else on the market solving the same problem and collaborate with them. And then, you will see how money flows will come. So.
That was exactly like my recipe too, and the way I have worked actually. And one thing I want to address is that know your client, the person who are participating, when you kind of understand worlds in their perspective, there is a click, everything is going very well with that recipe. And also research in care field, it's so important that you have kind of evidence-based something.
Thank you, and this was really good tool set, not just for arts and well-being entrepreneurs, but for any impact-seeking entrepreneurs in general. And on that note, I need to make a small advertisement, not on behalf of Lapinlahti, but on behalf of societal enterprises. So in Finnish, many might have heard notion yhteiskunnallinen yritys, sometimes called social enterprise, societal enterprise. But in other words, a business where the core target is not to maximize profits for the owners, but to generate some positive impact in the world through business. And what you basically were both describing was a form of societal entrepreneurship. And one really crucial part of that is open business and open participatory collaboration, because you might think of business and entrepreneurship as some kind of strong level of secrecy, you know, that you develop some business innovations and then you try to protect them and then you go and compete and you are a successful entrepreneur if you win market shares, i.e. that you don't collaborate with competitors. But I would encourage everyone in this field to think kind of that there are no competitors, but there is only some common vision and cause of generating impact. And that's why I also underline what you said of this networking, partnering, research. Probably someone else is also thinking of the same problems as you. And actually continuing, and that I would like to ask from Sandra, because we talk about, I don't know if people with strong artistic identity, for example, listened to Olga and thought that, okay, that was quite kind of business oriented, but I'm an artist. But for Sandra, how do you think that how can we balance artistic integrity with this financial sustainability? So is it possible?
The project must first answer a human and cultural need, and not just be seen as a product. But we also have to be realist, clear budget and good planning bring stability. For me, balance means respecting the artist's vision while being transparent and professional with the financial side. It's important for the place for old people. It's important the place of the artist. And I would like to share with you a reflection on these days about the place of artists. It is possible?
Yes.
Yes? What can an artist transmit today in the world where images can be endlessly transformed, where identity blur, where limits are not longer palpable, no longer visible, an unreal triathlon to replace to tangible? I choose matter, to touch, to ensure, to reclaim humanity, to share with children a place where limits exist, solid, tangible, and yet open to the infinite horizon of imagination, to bring humanity back to its shores, to restore makers, to open passages between the real and the imaginary, to return to our human limits, it's to return to humanity itself, not to dissolve into the unreal, not into the clouds, but to remain here in the living world, and Perhaps this is what an artist transmits beyond words. Does it contribute to well-being or simply to be?
Thank you, Sandra. This was a strong testimony of an artist and art therapist. And actually then looking at another artist, I remember you said to Clara that you don't kind of regard yourself as an entrepreneur, Miina. Yeah. But
it took maybe 15 years, then yes. I realized that actually I am.
Yes, and you are. But if you have kept also your artistic identity, now after 15 years, what kind of obstacles have you identified in combining this artistic identity and then this entrepreneurial identity? So as kind of concrete examples as you can give, what kind of problems are there?
Funding, simply, but I just like to see this more positive way, that actually to being an artist and when you have that kind of creativity in your identity and your way of working, you can add creativity into the way you make a business. So you have your own artistic process, how you see the world, and it's kind of problem-solving thing to understand everything. So I think it makes easier to kind of survive in a business manner as well. You actually just invite something new things all the time, and I just want to encourage people that don't be afraid. Things are just going well in some way. You get your funding everywhere, in tiny hints of everywhere, and be open to collaborate with people and with fields you don't know anything. It just will go well.
Yes, and you said also earlier that don't wait for the funding, and I think, and also Sandra talked about hybrid models. That's also one key note from this project and from this day, that for an arts and well-being entrepreneur, it's probably not that straightforward as for many other entrepreneurs, that you have a product and you have a client and then the money goes in between, but you probably need to be active in kind of gathering the funding from many different sources. Bruno mentioned foundations, public sector, business funding, etc. So that's kind of sales and marketing work as well, that you could do good applications and you reach for the funding from different parts. And on that note, I promise that we get back to the awareness on basically that is there demand currently for this kind of arts and well-being initiatives. So you said that only a small portion of the entire population probably even knows of this kind of cultural well-being, arts and well-being approaches. First to Bruno, but then also to everyone else, if you want to add in your respective countries or in the markets you have operated in, as of now, what is the overall atmosphere? Is there demand? Do people recognize that this is something worth implementing? So if we start from you.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the world, at least our continent, is going in this direction. We do see many initiatives and programs, and collaboration and partnerships which are developed all around Europe. We we just published the OMC report on culture and health 3 days ago, and oh yeah, almost a week. Yeah, that's what it says. So there are so many opportunities which are now possible, but yeah, in a strange and specific way, because as you said, we are also talking about human being, identity, and well-being, and so it's a tricky topic that you are dealing with the Awake project, and thank you very much for this specific insight, because it has to do with culture rights, with human rights, and at the same time we are talking about economy, and both can work together, but we have to find the right path in a way to, at least in each of our culture and history and institutions. But yeah, definitely one of the point maybe in my country is that artists are like in an entrepreneurial matter for creation, for dissemination. But when it deals with publics and like hospital, jails, schools, it's more about a public service. So you see, it's not an economical business, because it's a public service. So it's the community who has to deal with it. But the entrepreneurial world and topic is on the rest of the activity of the artist: creation, dissemination, exhibitions, plays, etc. And in a way, what we promote is skills for artists. So we kind of, by programs or pilot programs and maybe trainings, we give artists skills to answer all those different hats or situations. And that's the best we can do so far. and so yeah, we have to look for what exists everywhere to see the future.
Yes, and before we conclude, does any of you rest want to add something to what Bruno said about the demand for this kind of solutions?
I have an idea about the kind of collective or center. As I said before, I was honored to be 7 years in Uudenmaa Fund Board from Finnish Cultural Foundation, and also be organized the new grant called Taidetta yhdessä, Art Together, and I was honored to read applications. So many people who are doing wonderful things in this field, and I just feel that there is so much going on, so much wonderful solutions all the time, but mostly those people are alone. It should be some kind of organizations which makes this field visible, and also kind of showroom what kind of things there actually exist. That's the best idea I can suggest, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, as said, network, join forces.
Perhaps the important with it's the collaboration, the cooperation with different structure. The it's important in the territory. Identify the cooperation with with drag, with culture et santé, with the dialogue is very important when we think project. You need cooperation for the models economic too.
Exactly. And I know that Dace will be angry at me that we have exceeded our time, but I want that we end this with some really practical advice. So now, for anyone who is now considering that should I now pursue healthcare and well-being sectors with my artistic methods, but I'm not really sure where to start. Now, something really short, something really concrete. Do you have some concrete advice for these newcomers to the field? Olga, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, short, you said short is really complicated. But maybe where to start with is just because I mean, if you are an artist, there's no pressure. Now you don't need to be the entrepreneur. So it's just an optional way that you can go, but you may not go there. But if you decide to go there, then I would really encourage all of you to find some kind of peer support. So not just a network of the partners, but also some peers, some your colleagues, people that you're, like maybe your role models, that people that you find inspiration in, and stick together. Because being alone in this journey is kind of demanding and it's difficult, so you would need support, emotional support. Short, I promise. Second, really practical advice, guys, about, you've been asking about the situation in the market nowadays. What I notice is that if you want to proceed with this well-being topic, one of the interesting market might be the corporate world, because what I see now is this evolving trend about well-being at the workplace. And this is something not that hard to, let's say, to deal with and to get partnerships with, some kind of organization, corporation, and to help the employees feeling better on the workplace. That is something that one of the market that you might explore, this B2B, business to business proposal in this sector. And last but not least, continuing Minos, last one, about the building networks. It brought some kind of image in my head, being as a spiders. So you could also bring the network by your own, meaning like if you are the spider inside the middle of your own net, that means that you can catch flies from different directions. What does it mean? What I also notice is that really efficient business model is the business model built on communities. So when you have your product, you have your project. So why not to engage as many people as possible and build some kind of maybe courses, maybe webinars, maybe community online platform. And that would be easy for you to catch flies, you know what I mean, by collaborating with someone else, because you already have your audience stick to your project. So that would be it, but I will elaborate a bit more during my workshop as well.
Yeah, listen to what Olga said and utilize today, because here we have a wonderful network of people with whom you can start some joint initiatives and ask for referrals and ask for help. So, and on that note, I encourage that get to know each other, and let's thank our great friends. Give big applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we can start practicing this immediately, because next we have networking lunch and Dace probably wants to give us some instructions.
Maybe I will ask for this So here is the slide for the online audience, because now the online part ends and on-site part continues still. Maybe some practical information. Now we all go together to the lunch. We gather at the entrance of the building. We 5 minutes, grab our coats and run outside, and we go together. And then we come back to this venue, and you are assigned to 3 workshops. You need to remember which workshop you are registered for, and then you go